What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Respawn Aim Fire spoiler cast. Spoiler chat is what we call them for Miles Morales. Spider-Man Miles Morales. We have a lot of friends and faces here that you... guys, we don't all look exactly the same this time. This is great. This is wonderful.
I saw that in the other one.
Yeah,
that was...
one. It was literally just a bunch of clones, and then me, if I had my glasses on, I would have also been a clone. So this is great to see. Wonderful. We have a lot of lifelong friends here. This is going to replace our traditional episode this week. So we're just going to do this spoiler cast. It's going to be great. You guys are on an actual real-life, not numbered episode, but it takes the place of one. So happy Thanksgiving. Hope this finds you well. Let's go around and introduce the crew. I think this is the first time we've had these specific people all together. Hi, I'm Chad Michael Innes. I'm wearing 2 shirts. I'm wearing a small t-shirt over top of a medium sweater. We have with us also Dusty Hill. Say hello, Dusty.
Hello, it's me. I am Dusty Hill. I am just wearing 1 shirt and a hat.
Where might people recognize you from, Dusty, if they were to search the internet?
Me shitposting on Twitter at Dusty Hill. You could also find me on Shouting in Place, which is a podcast that lets you shout into the void and know nothing will shout back. And also some other shit online, but you know.
Perfect. Someothershitonline.com/Dusty Hill.
Don't go there.
Could continue
Speaking
on.
of don't go there, Dallas Smith. Welcome to the podcast, Dallas.
Thanks for having me. I'm wearing an extra large shirt with a large hoodie over the top.
It looks
Love
nice.
it. That's
Thanks,
wonderful.
It's cold in here, so I don't want to turn the heat on. I'm cheap.
Dude, same. I got a heated blanket right now. That's
Just
what I'm
spent,
rocking.
4 G's on a TV, so
It's
yeah,
not
come on.
cold in here, and I wish I was only wearing 1 shirt.
Dallas is going to have an open fire in his living room pretty soon. A bonfire.
It's the old TV.
Burn my Xbox.
Damn.
You might recognize Dallas from these pictures behind us here. Dallas contributes, as of this month, all of our background imagery for our podcast going forward. So all of these wonderful screenshots you'll be enjoying throughout today's podcast and going forward are all provided by Dallas. So thank you, sir, very much for your contributions.
Thank you very much.
Matt from Rhode Island.
That's right. At Matt from RI on Twitter. You can also find me on the Average Nobodies podcast at Average Nobodies and at Vaulted Podcast, where you can come and record your podcast or show or YouTube show, whatever, at our studio in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So if you're close to there and you want it, just hit me up on Twitter at Matt from RI.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not close to there, but Brent is virtually in the space. Look at that. Look at his background.
There he is. Yeah,
Vaulted
that's
Podcast
Brent's
space.
my sales agent. That's the studio right there.
We've got John Hansen joining us from the Pixel Street Boys with an I. John. Pixel Street
What's
Podcast.
up?
Say hello. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. I am wearing 1 large Spider-Man shirt. I don't have really anything else to really make me stand out from the others. Here's a Sea of Thieves towel.
Nice.
Am I cool yet, guys? Am I cool yet?
Yes.
That would
Winner,
just
winner,
stand out.
chicken dinner. I have
Yes.
I don't like Sea of Thieves, but I have a Sea of Thieves controller, and it's my favorite
I
controller
don't
that
like
I have.
it either.
Actually, an
I got
Xbox
that
game I
in a loot
enjoy.
crate.
I take my woo back. I take it
It's
back.
much better than it used to be.
And then finally over here we have Brent Gillahan. Brent, legally I cannot ask you what you're wearing because of your age. How are you, though?
I'm actually pretty. But I have a whole plate of food. I'm just waiting to eat it after
That looks
the podcast.
delicious.
Cheez-Its,
What is
baby.
that?
Cheez-Its.
Dude, it's like a whole thing of grapes. There's Cheez-Its over here. There's 2 grilled cheeses. I'm like foaming at the
2
mouth
grilled
right
cheeses?
now.
I
Let's
want you to
go.
do that thing in old cartoons where they take like the whole grape thing, just put it in their mouth, and then
Yeah,
just take
exactly.
it all
You
off.
know,
Yes.
I did try that one time. It wasn't as fun.
I tried it all the time, and I never could do it.
I guess one thing to take me out from the others is I still got the PlayStation trophy glass. What else do
Right.
I got
Oh,
over
hell
here?
yeah,
I got some,
GameStop.
got some nuts.
Got some nuts.
Nuts in
a
the
lot of
jar.
nuts.
Got him.
I got
Are those
Selena
D's
Gomez
brand nuts?
signed CD.
Selena.
Wow.
Signed by
Yeah.
anyone in particular, or just like a family member?
It's just
Signed by
It's
Tom
a dude
DeLonge.
down the
G
street.
cup. That's what I got.
Oh, a
Matt
Doom
signed it.
Shaker Cup. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or we're just like showing off what we have in our room.
That's
Just
exactly
start
it.
grabbing things.
I'm at
I
my
also
best,
noticed,
so.
I'm
Yeah,
not
nothing cool there.
apologizing. This is a great happenstance. As we talk through today, I realized the framing of most of Dallas's screenshots means that front and center of every shot is most likely going to be Spider-Man ass or dick. And then you'll see the full shot off to the side. But that's
I need to see
that's a
him.
plus to today. Speaking of pluses to today, Miles Morales. That's in general my feelings on Miles Morales. It is a plus. We have all beaten the game. Brent, you are the only one that I think that's platinumed it, right?
I
Matt
platinumed.
did as well.
Matt, you
Matt's got
platinumed
the
it
plat.
too?
Hell yeah.
All right, Dallas, you are not platinuming it.
I'm not sure. Still undecided.
Okay. I'm working on New
Having
Game Plus, getting there. Dusty, what's your status on the Platinum Trophy? Is it of interest to you?
I mean, I'm more of interest of getting everything in the game. As far as getting the trophy, I have never got a platinum trophy in my life.
Whoa.
So,
It'd be a nice one to get.
I mean, the game is fucking fantastic. I just want to get all the costumes and all the everything. So, I made platinum just by happenstance.
John,
Yeah, there's
what
a
is
few
your status
trophies in
with the
there
game?
that are a little, like a stretch of gameplay. Like it's not just collecting
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It's
Like a
definitely
100 hit
hard.
combo. There's a few in there that seem like they're gonna
Oh,
be paying
I got the
ass to
100
get.
combo by accident.
There you go.
It's definitely a harder
I
class
accidentally
than
was
2018.
perfect at the game,
get
so.
a trophy like that on accident. I've been through the story and I've done like some side stuff. Like I've gotten all of it, but some of the stuff there I just don't care about, so I'm not going for the platinum.
Gotcha. That being said, this is a spoiler chat. There will be full-on spoilers for everything in the game. That includes not only the main storyline, but that also includes the side quests afterwards, like the postcard side quest and the music side quest, all that kind of stuff. So if you have not done any of that, stop listening right now. Brent. Sorry, every
I get it.
spoiler cast, I
Keep
just have to
watching.
assume that
Just
you haven't
mute it.
played it and you're also watching it.
Yeah, just mute it.
Yeah,
Check
keep
out
watching it, but mute
at
it.
Pixel Street on Twitter.
Yeah, that's it.
I definitely watched your Last of Us chat without playing the game.
I know, you freaking psychopath.
You.
Let's
Someone play
talk
that.
about this game. I would love to start with Dusty. I think you were the very first of us to beat it. Tell us about what your favorite parts of this game were, whether it's a technical thing, a story-wise thing. What made you love this game?
Yeah, I this is like I got the PlayStation to my house, inserted that disc. As soon as it downloaded, I mainlined the game. Like I played like 6 hours that night, and then finished it the next day. The game is like honestly, it's just so good from everything to the gameplay, the whole setting. Like I'm just gonna put this on. I'm an emotional gamer. That's gonna be my next Twitter handle, Destin Hill Emotional Gamer. And just like all like the tiny things, like playing as like Afro Latino character, and like no joke, like one of the first scenes in the game where you're going through, and then you get home, and you're having Christmas dinner with your mom and then Genki, and then there is this salsa version of Feliz Navidad. Like I was tearing up. I'm like, oh my god, it's me. And just the like Spanish Harlem, like the first Spider-Man, the city felt so alive. There's so much stuff. There's so much like street art everywhere that you're just finding. Like this amazing one right behind me, right here.
For anyone not
and-
watching, it's a painting
Yeah,
of
with
Vulture
the creepy
with
eyes.
the best eyes.
It looks like the bad guy from Roger Rabbit.
I think that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
But the story, it is definitely a shorter story because, like I said, I mainlined it and just went all the way through it. But I think it's a good, succinct story for who it is and what direction they're going. Gameplay is super good. Adding the Venom powers really adds like this whole different level of combat that like you could just stream combo after combo after combo and go buck wild, and it's just so good. So I liked everything about it, but I really liked the story and just the personality of all the characters.
Dope. I think it's fair to say that's everything. You just loved everything about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I would love to just kind of open it up to the group of other really great things that you loved about this game. and we'll talk a little bit later about things you might not have liked.
Like,
You can go.
Matt, you go first.
so the Spider-Man 2018, right? That was the first one, the year it came out. Spider-Man 2018 was my second platinum that I ever got. And
Same,
I wasn't at that time. I was not big into. I wasn't trophy blind like I am now. Like but at the time, I had done Horizon Zero Dawn and I had done Spider-Man up until that point. Both those games were games that I just really enjoyed, and then I happened to like look at the trophy list when I was done with them, like fully done with them, and I was like, you know what? There's only a few more. Let's do it. This fall, and there's also games where I buy like Mayo, and I tap the screen 10,000 times and I get the platinum. But then there's games like Miles that I play the game, and then I'm like, I play it, beat it the first time, and I'm like, yeah, I was probably gonna get this platinum anyway, but I'm like, this is all stuff that I probably would have enjoyed doing anyway. The combat is so fun, and for me, never, in my opinion, never gets old. Like I swing into a new encounter, and I love it. And like the 60 frames a second with the PS5 was so good in the combat. And I did mostly fidelity, but I did switch to performance for a good chunk of the New Game Plus that I did. And I was loving the combat. I mean, it's so good. And just to explore the city, like to have a second go at the city when everything's a little different because it's Christmas time and there's snow covering everything and the decorations are a little different. And it just feels like that. And if you've ever been, Christmas in New York is a very special thing, like right in the city of Manhattan. And it just like, it brings it all. Like it feels so good. Like and it was great to swing around New York again, but have it be new almost. And also with a new character who feels differently about things, who obviously talks, is a little like they both have their funny like quips, but in different ways. Like I love the early on in the game when Miles first gets the ill-fitting suit.
Yeah.
And, like it has the knee pads and everything from Pete, and he's swinging, and all of a sudden Jameson's Twitter podcast comes on, and he's like, "Oh man, like Pete has Joe Jameson's podcast piped into his suit, like pre-programmed. Like, wait, he's a masochist. Like, why would he do this?" I just thought it was great, and I had a great time with it up until the end. Like and also I didn't delete it from my PlayStation. Usually, if I play a game and I platinum it, I'm done with it. I delete it. I kept it on there because I'm probably gonna go back in there and play some more. The Venom powers feel so good. And they're so great, and I love that they pared down the gadgets. It's a smaller game, it's a quicker game. They didn't need to have as many gadgets. It didn't feel as clunky. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was the same way as Matt. Kind of like Spider-Man was my second platinum. My first was Undertale, but I don't really count that. So like Spider-Man was like the first like big game that I went and platinumed. I did that in like I think PSN Profile says like 3 days or something for Spider-Man. I played that nonstop. That was a huge game in my life. One of my favorites, like of all time, just how I feel Spider-Man. So going into Miles, I definitely was excited, but I was worried that like I think Miles is a good character, but in the comics he's relatively new, so I wasn't sure really what they're gonna do. And the character of the Tinkerer never was interesting. Like he's so uninteresting. They threw him into like Spider-Man Homecoming and made him the weird guy that makes things and like, hey, that's the Tinkerer. It's like, okay. But in this like I know it's a spoiler cast, but I want to get into like all plot details later, so like getting off of that point, but like the way that they're able to take a lot of things that either were not popular at all or a lot of elements that just don't get a lot of shine and make this story that feels so personal, so connected. Like it's like 7 hours, but I wouldn't want it any other way. It was like beat after beat of like amazing storyline. And even getting the platinum, I was like, it sucks you have to do the New Game Plus, but I was enjoying that ride the whole time. I think Joel like hit me up on Twitter. He's like, yeah, I want to get the platinum, but I don't want to do the New Game Plus. I'm like, dude, I love the game, but I loved it more once I did the game. Like it was a 5 hour just get through it, like on the hardest difficulty, and I just had a blast doing it. It's such a fun game.
Dallas, what'd you think?
I loved it too. I was pretty excited to play it after playing the original Spider-Man game. That was one of my favorite games of 2018. If it wasn't for like God of War and stuff like that, and Red Dead, but right there, like third best that year. It was an unbelievable year, and I enjoyed that game so much. And after finishing this game, I don't want to play another Spider-Man game if I can't play as Miles.
I kind of agree.
I don't want it. Miles is the fucking coolest dude. Like, I had so much fun playing as him, experiencing that culture. Obviously I'm a middle-aged fucking white guy. Like, I don't know much about that kind of stuff, but it was just so cool to, like, after that rally mission where the bridge blows up and then, like, he's kind of depressed. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, this is all my fault. And Genki says to him, like, dude, he's like, you are Spider-Man. Like, you keep talking about the other Spider-Man. He's like, you're Spider-Man too. And just to see that montage play out, like, it got me emotional, like how Dusty was saying. Like, I got emotional at that point because I was like, dude, this is so cool for that culture. Like, I have a son, and, like, if he was, like, part of a marginalized community and he got to play this game and he got to, like, brag about how fucking cool Miles is and shit, like, it must be so I'm just so happy that culture gets to experience something like that. So just experiencing that side of New York that I've never known about, never been to. So that blew me away. That made me appreciate it even more than regular white guy Spider-Man, I guess. But what Matt said about the Venom powers, like, that made it bring it to a whole nother level too. Those Venom powers are so fucking cool, dude. Just that Venom shock where, you use all three bars and you just, it reminded me of the Web Blossom. Because I used to just use that in every fight in the first one.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
what I would do too.
It was like, oh, there's no cool powers like that. But then as soon as I unlocked that, I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I start every battle off with, and just shock a bunch of people and just go ape shit from there. Swinging through the city, like his like frantic flailing, like, just brings so much character to the game. That not only that, the world with the the city in Christmas time adds way more character. It's just an all around better experience, in my opinion. And I enjoyed the Tinkerer's, like, storyline involved, but I was a little upset that there wasn't more. I mean, I didn't want it to get watered down like I think the first one might have been, with facing all three of those Sinister Six at the same time or whatever it was. I think you at least fought three of them. Oh, two of them. It might have been three at the same time. I don't really remember. But I didn't want it to be watered down like that. But then I was like, oh, I want that, like, cool boss battle. And then they kind of drizzled in the second Rhino battle. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then you get to fight the Prowler. I was like, oh, that's cool. So it really did kind of smooth out all the issues I had by the end. I was like, this is a perfect experience. Short, fun, and beautiful. And I had a blast. I spent like 20 hours doing it, and I was only like 86% done. Like, I didn't even find everything. I didn't clear all the hideouts and shit. So I spent a ton of time in it. Probably taking pictures, but whatever.
Yeah. So good.
But yeah, I
John.
loved it, man. It was amazing.
John, what'd you think?
Yeah. So, like Dallas was saying there, swinging around New York and just traversing the area. I mean, since Sunset Overdrive, Insomniac has just been pretty much the king of making traversing an open world fun. Like, they've knocked it out of the park in Sunset Overdrive and now both Spider-Man games. And this is pretty much the same traversal kind of system as the first Spider-Man. I mean, it makes sense. Same, in most part, it's the same map and everything. But like he was saying, I love the animations of him. He's probably, 6-7 months into being Spider-Man, so he's not really as smooth at doing it as Peter is in the first game. I love that. Just the animations in general, I love in this game. They really nail it out of the park. And as Dusty was saying, he kind of touched on it, like the relationship aspect of the game that Miles has with his mom, with Genki, with Finn, and his uncle, just with everyone around him, even people that he doesn't know. Just the very beginning of the game where he's walking up out of the subway and he's helping people and having a conversation with them. And, hey, yeah, that's an awesome mural. Leave some room for the new guy and everything. Like, it just really, like, it really helps. Okay, so I'm just your average white guy from Iowa. I have no connection to an Afro-Latino in New York at all, but this game really made me care about Miles and everything, and just, like, everything about that. I have no connections to that stuff, but man, the story told here and the way that he interacts with everyone is just so good.
I agree. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things is that Spider-Man, the original character, Peter Parker, I think so many people, he's literally the most popular superhero on the planet. Like, he's Marvel's highest money-making, like, most recognizable character. But I think so many people connect with him because he's a little bit of an everyman, and that he's young, he's green, not green like the Goblin, but green as in, like, new and unpracticed and things. So people connect with that. And I think with this newest iteration, the character of Miles Morales, not just in the video game, but in the comics, brings that to even more people because he's newer to being Spider-Man. He's unsure of himself. There's already one of them out there that's better than he is. And so not only is it bringing it to an entire new community of people culturally, but it's also like comic book readers and video game people, I will venture a guess to say that there's probably a large cross-section of people who are also don't have a ton of self-confidence or feel imposter syndrome pretty often. So I feel like I connected with Miles even more than I did with Peter, just based on that kind of stuff, seeing him struggle with coming into his own as Spider-Man and how his guidance from his uncle and from his best friend and from his mother, despite some of them being somewhat villains. I don't know if there really was a villain aside from Krieger, maybe, and he wasn't really even much of a villain. I don't know. But anyway, I felt like with all of the coaching from all of those people and his support systems, it was really cool to kind of see his development of being by himself as Spider-Man and starting with thinking like, man, how does Peter do this? To then finally, by the end of it, having a hold over all of it and being super fucking good at his job. So I connected with that a lot. I wanted to bring up like a comparison. A lot of people we actually started learning about this game with a lot of confusion around, is it a game? Is it DLC? Is it an extra chapter? Is it like First Light? I wanted to see how people felt about the fact that this was a shorter experience, that it was than the original Spider-Man game, that it was to me it felt like there was just an A plot. There wasn't like a B plot and a C plot like you would find in Spider-Man. And I wonder how people felt about it. Like, did you enjoy that? Did you wish there was more? I know I personally feel like I wish there were more boss battles. I feel like when I play something or see something comic book related, I'm really interested in like, the villains. There were a few in this one, but I feel like I would have loved to, like, in Spider-Man you fought the whole Sinister Six.
Yeah.
Even if some of them were like duo battles, like Dallas mentioned, but I don't know. I feel like you fought a few, but I think that's the one thing that I miss. I wish there were one or two more side missions that maybe ended in a boss battle. But what did everyone else think?
Who's going?
Right, go for it.
I think that I don't like when people just like point out that this is a DLC. Like, I genuinely do think like this feels exactly like a standalone game. Like, is it shorter? Definitely, yeah. That's why it has that $50 price tag. But I don't know. It feels good to me, and there's always room to add more into it. Like, it would have been nice to see more villains, but I do appreciate how all the villains, they don't feel tacked on. It's like, yeah, in Spider-Man 2018, you're fighting the Sinister Six, but in Miles, you're fighting people that have a connection to Miles, like the Tinkerer and all that. Rhino, like in the Kind of Funny spoiler cast, Brian Horton was talking about the fact that Rhino was the first villain that Miles ever took on, like in 2018 when he didn't have spider powers. I find that really cool. Like, I think that's awesome. So like every villain that you fight, including the Prowler, which is your uncle, like everyone you fight in this game has some connection to Miles. And I think it would be better than like trying to throw in like, oh hey, Scorpion's here, go get Scorpion. It's like, it would be cool, but it's like everything else has such a close relation to Miles. And it's like, even in one of the side quests, so like you learn about this conspiracy brewing and it's just Fisk and like you don't get to fight him. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, I didn't want them to throw in some like Tombstone or something. Like, okay, it's Tombstone, but like, why is he here? Kind of thing. And then I think there's enough content in the game to justify it being a standalone game. Like, I think the story on its own, 7 hours, it's compact, it's fun, I enjoy it. All the little like underground bases and the Roxxon bases, those are really good for like stealth and like combat areas. And you have the Peter combat areas. I love, like, we'll get into it later, but like the sound mini games and the postcards, I thought all those are really cool. A lot of the side quests are like interesting. Like, making new relationships with people, like people that like you save and you'll see later on in the game. Like I thought that was cool because I noticed a contrast, like when I didn't do the side quest on my first run, and then when I did do the side quest on the second run, and then I'm calling someone I saved on the second run, like in a side quest, I'm like, whoa, that didn't happen before. So like, I think there's enough content for it to be a standalone game. It's like it'd be cool if they add more, but I'm content after platinuming it with everything that's in the game right now.
John, you had something to add to that?
Yeah, he pretty much nailed everything. It's shorter, but it stands on its own. I do think it. I haven't played. Is it Lost Legacy, the Uncharted one?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't played through that game, but I know that one's like even shorter than this. I think, isn't it?
I feel like that one's like 8 or 9 hours.
It's about the same.
Whereas this is like
if I
11 or
remember.
12.
Okay. Well, regardless, I mean, I'm fine with this as a story. I really like that they went into as Miles as like his own character and like really fleshed him out and everything. Because in the first game, playing as Miles sucked. Having to do everything stealthy and everything. I really like that they really took the time to establish him as his own character and say, hey, yeah, this is a significant guy in the story going forward. When I saw that they were announcing this as Miles game only, I was kind of disappointed at first because after Spider-Man 1, I was looking into Spider-Man 2 as like, oh yeah, we got Peter and Miles are going to work together and I can play the whole game cooperatively with someone else. Okay, no, I can't do that, but there's still plenty of room for them to do that in the actual Spider-Man 2 that's coming down the road. So while at the beginning, when it was first announced, I was kind of disappointed, I'm actually happy that they went this way now. It really changed my mind on things because of the story and the relationships that he's built up and everything. I care so much more about Miles now than I did after the first game.
I'm kind of two minds when it comes to the length of this game. What I was just saying, one of the reasons I liked it is because it was nice and compact, and I think they took out some of the fat, like you were saying, John. The stealth missions with Mary Jane and Miles were painful in the 2018 Spider-Man. So it was nice and short, but I think, when I was thinking about this, PS5 launch window, PS5 launch game, like day and date, there's so much for me to play. I think that I like that it's shorter because I can move on. I think that if this had come out in like July with nothing else, and like this was like the big game of that month or the next month and a half, I think I would be like left wanting more. I think I would have wanted the experience to be longer. I think that they did a good job of streamlining a lot. Like I said, they removed those stealth missions and they pared down the gadgets and all that. But I think they could have gone a lot deeper in the story. They could have gone a lot wider horizontally, like with different villains and explore those different avenues. I think that there could have been more to the Wilson Fisk storyline. I think that it was kind of like, oh, he pops up on the screen, you defeat some of his guys, and like that's it. I feel like that could have come around and he could have come and got revenge. And I feel like maybe that's coming in DLC. Who knows? Like, who knows what's coming down the road. But yeah, I think that any other time, if I didn't have Bug Snacks to play, and if I didn't have, if I didn't have all these other games, like maybe Valhalla, maybe the new Call of Duty, like if I didn't have all these new games to play on my new shiny system, I think I probably would have been disappointed.
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to say that Wilson Fisk thing, that does kind of feel like it was just thrown in. To be like, hey, remember, this guy still exists out there, but then you're rid of him so fast. Like, it isn't even a thing like in Batman Arkham City, where you see someone like, I'm blanking on his name. The guy that changes his face to look like Bruce Wayne's. Sorry, I can't remember. Hush, there you go, thank you. You see him, he locks you away, then he goes and leaves. You're like, oh, he's going to be in the next game. The way they handled this with Fisk, I don't think he's going to be in Spider-Man 2. I mean, he always could be because it's Wilson Fisk. And they could just do the prison thing like they've been doing for the last 2 games. But, like, it just feels like he was thrown in there for just reasons of, hey, here's Kingpin.
I agree. I'm with two minds on that. Like, real quick, it's kind of like, on one hand, I'm like, I like it because they touch on the whole game, like, oh, the Underground's in the Fisk Tower, they're taking over Fisk and everything. And I also kind of like it in the sense that, like, it feels like a comic book where it's kind of like you put a book in on the story and like, oh well, here's what's gonna happen, or like you have like a random little thing where what's Fisk doing in this comic kind of thing. Like I enjoy it a little bit, but I also agree with you that it's like, okay, like you see, if you're like me and you go through the trophy list, you see that trophy and it's like, it was like uncover a conspiracy or something like that, and I'm like, what? Like, what is this? And then it's just like, okay, you see Fisk on the screen, Genki's like, oh, we gotta stop him, and then trophy pops, and it's like, oh,
that was
okay.
We stopped
Yeah,
this one connection. Everything's fine now, guys.
And it's like, okay, that's cool, I guess. I was expecting like a Scorpion or something when you do some of those side quests, and it's like, oh, well, someone's behind this. We gotta find out who it is. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be some villain. And it's like, oh, okay, it's Fisk. All right, he's definitely gonna be the villain in a game or two. Like, he's gonna come back and be a proper villain. But, all right, it's whatever.
Well, like even the first game, you run into Taskmaster. He has no connection to the main story, and he's still in there. So, like, they could have gone further with it. Not saying it's bad, but yeah, kind of. I don't know.
It felt like added content, like
Yeah.
to give the game a little more depth, a little more time, gameplay time. I enjoyed the length of it mostly because longer games for me are harder to get through, especially when there's such a good photo mode in it. So like, you know what I mean. Like for me, these kind of games might just be what I need. To be honest with you. So Matt makes a great point. Launch window. There's so much to play right now. I started Demon Souls this morning. I want to get back to it. So I don't know if I'm going to platinum it, but at least I got it done and I can move on to something else. So I don't really have an issue with the length of it.
I mean, I think it's just the right length. I think it's especially when I compare this, because getting ready for this, I did rewatch Into the Spider-Verse, and seeing the comparison between that Miles story and then this Miles story, it's very much seeing like this. The game is the link that the story needed to be for who the Spider-Man is. He's just coming into his powers. He's just coming into like a huge responsibility, something he never had, especially after losing his father in the first game, and having this mantle of being like essentially the man of the household. So him growing up with this, having to step up and essentially teach some stuff himself, and then he has to freaking take down a thing that's going to destroy his city off the map. Like, it's not just like it'll be not just like New York. It's specifically like taking down Harlem off the map, and that's him. And then him going to the bodegas and like seeing all the communities and giving all these experiences to show that this community is who he is. He's it's even mentioned a couple times, he's Harlem Spider-Man. He's this community Spider-Man, and it's so good. And I think it's perfect amount for the story. I want more. I love this story. I love Miles as a player, as a character, and I want to play more. But like seeing this, I think this is like in comic book terms, this is volume 1. We played through volume 1 and got to see like y'all mentioned, he fought all the characters that he's had issues with in the past, like with Rhino and with the Prowler. Like the ending to that Prowler fight was just like, I punched you in the gut, man. Like it's like saying like, well, I can't do what you need to do. I care about someone more than myself, and just like, fuck. And like seeing Prowler come back later in the story and just like seeing like it's small, but seeing the character development, and if you do the side missions, you see more. It's a lot in a compact package, which I love.
I think it has depth. Like Matt said, it could be spread further.
Yeah,
but it's the story they give you does have some depth. Like the relationship you have with Finn, exploring the past that you had with her. Even that little. I know it was kind of stupid, but they throw Peter and Doc Ock in there when you're going through the museum.
I love that.
Which is cool.
Like it adds just a real depth to the whole thing. Dealing with your uncle and him knowing already and stuff like that. Like there's a lot there that gameplay wise might not be long, but I think there's a lot of substance to the story. So
Yeah, yeah.
I love how like when the story's over, it's not like completely over. Like if you want to seek out all those like side quests, like they all add something. Like I never felt that with 2018. Like 2018, it's like I'm checking off paperwork. I get all these backpacks. Cool. With these time capsules and Miles, I do that, and then he calls his mom, and he's like, "If in that second playthrough, I left the last time capsule until I beat the game because I love that phone call that he does to his mom, where he's like, I just got the last, and Genki too. He's like, got the last time capsule, and he's talking about like Finn's sacrifice and like all that stuff too. Like I love that so much, and like every little collectible has something to it. Every side quest chain, every thing, like they're always tying into, like with the sound samples, like you get another call from your uncle talking about how like, hey, I went to jail because like you inspired me to be a better man, like I appreciate you. Like there's always this new thing adding in. Like yeah, it's not anything new to the big Tinker storyline, there's no big baddie, but like it's all closure, it's all like leading to something, and I love that so much.
I think that's exactly why I like this game more, is because it is every single piece of it is mainlining some kind of character development into your veins. And whether or not
just fall in love with them.
exactly, yeah. And whether or not I enjoyed the mechanic of going and trying to record a fucking crowd of pigeons,
The first two, I was like, what is this bullshit? But I got the hang of it later.
I didn't necessarily love that, but the experience that came out of that and the conversations with your
worth
uncle and getting to see that thing and the fact that he made you a suit and is talking about these things with your dad,
suit
and then the
dope.
postcard quest.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
the
oh my
fact
gosh.
that
Plus,
you
it's
yes,
great.
I
That
love
fucked
you
me
by
up,
your
man.
dad.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
I love
broke
you.
me.
And you
Oh
can
my
like
God.
really hear
Yeah.
him choking up as he's like, oh, I need a moment after that. Like that's
Yeah,
really
and the
awesome.
Yeah,
last
that one where his dad's
oh
gonna
gosh.
take him to like see a show. Like
Oh,
I
at
felt
that
sad after
club?
that.
Yeah.
I was like, shit.
Yeah, no, after that last one, and then like him on the phone with
Them
his
all playing
mom.
basketball.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was
The
great.
only thing I
Braid because
wish
of
they
you.
would have showed him was, I wish they would have showed him dunking for the first time. That would have sealed it. I would have been on the floor in a puddle crying.
Doing the
My
Air
wife would
Jordan
have
thing.
like call someone to make sure I was okay. Like that would have fucked me up, man.
One thing I was wondering, Brent mentioned the after grabbing all of the time capsules, how he like has that moment where he's like really trying to figure out how he should like just look back on Finn's life and everything, and he calls his mom. So I did that after the game ended, and I got that, and I thought, oh, that's an excellent encounter between him and his mom. I was wondering, does that change at all if you grab the last time capsule before the last mission? Because you can get those before the end of the game, right?
Yeah. That's
So-
why I saved mine. So like I don't know. Like I specifically wanted to see that phone call, but I was wondering
Yeah.
that too.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
wonder if they save the last one until after you finish the mission. I'm
It's-
not 100% sure.
It's
It
possible
might be
another
that way,
one
I'm
may
not
show
sure.
up because a lot of missions actually unlock after you beat the main story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, the cat!
Spider-Man
I was
the
so
cat.
excited.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man and
I
Spider-Man.
still haven't. He still hasn't helped me with a finisher. Like I've done like 10 finishes.
You have
with
to
him
like.
in
There's a
there.
specific
It's like only
one.
one, I think.
Yeah, I've only done it a couple times, but it's so great. And like when you're just swinging and you just hear like the cat go.
You'll be upside
like,
down, and
burrows
he
in
just
the
pops
bag.
out of the
Yeah.
backpack, and he's like,
And like you could do like the different kinds of selfies, like when you're on the ground, when you're in the air. Like I took a selfie in the water with the cat, and the cat just climbs on your chest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so like there's all these different things and all these small things. It's so good.
Yeah.
I wanted to
There's a
go.
lot- There's sorry, just
Yeah.
there's a lot of personality to the game. Like
Yeah.
you really feel Miles's personality in that game. Like everything.
And I kind of wanted to go back, like with going to smaller game. It also all like the things like going through the collectibles and having all this character development for Miles. All this character development is something new. Like for Peter Parker Spider-Man, like 2018, you go there. He's been Spider-Man for years. It's a lot of shit we have no connection to. But like being Spider-Man for the past 7 months, all these things is something new, and he's learning about it. Shut up, Bixby. He's learning about it, and it's all new stuff and all this bullshit. Like fucking Bixby is, yeah, of course you didn't understand that. And I just really love that, and it makes sense that there's not as much collectibles, not as much stories to go through because he's still new at this. Like those time capsules is something he had to deal with as a kid. He's very much like a kid still. And there's so much stuff that we could see, but I think like it's either going to be DLC or Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
The Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Dusty, like I love that it wasn't an origin story, but it wasn't like 8 years into his life. Like I like that like he knows enough to like be Spider-Man, but we're still on his journey of his first official like bad guy kind of thing. Like I love that.
Yeah.
Like we're not going through the spider bite, we're not going through like, oh, who do I tell kind of thing. Like you're there, but now it's just his first villain that you have to like fight and like learn how to save the city.
And like
And you
getting
experience
into
his powers
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
first time, right? When he goes invisible for the first time, that was
Yeah.
That's cool.
Such a great
the
moment.
And in
camouflage
such
was
a
great.
tense moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
that was awesome. That bridge scene was so dope, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, like they show
So
you
good.
that in the PlayStation thing, but they don't show you like every single like cool moment of that. Like it's so much better when you actually play that.
Oh,
like,
one
I
of my
whole
played through it
favorite
scene.
again right
things.
before we got on. I had to experience that again. It was so fucking awesome.
One of my favorite things is that the first trailer that they showed to like actually announce the game is from the end of the
ending.
game where
Yeah,
he's
the
Yeah.
very end.
Yeah.
taking in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
as
thing.
like,
Like,
oh shit, that's
like
yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh my god, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I was like, oh, this is it? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I hope you guys played the classic suit on that moment, or like it didn't. Because if you,
No, I had
did the
earmuffs and
Spider-Verse
scarf.
Yeah, same.
I did the Spider-Verse suit on the second playthrough, and I noticed how it doesn't like break the suit, and I'm like, god damn, I really missed
I
out.
think I had a Spider-Verse suit as well.
I played the first playthrough. I played with the earmuffs and scarf because once they put it on me, I'm like, "This is awesome! I love this." So I'm just gonna keep playing with it. But then the new game plus, as soon as I got the Prowler suit, the
Yeah.
purple and
Prowler
green
suit
suit,
is
I did
dope.
not remove that.
It's so sexy, man.
It was so awesome. It had like just these really cool details, the claws, the canisters around the wrist, which kind of reminds me of the Scarlet Spider, the Ben Reilly suit
Yeah.
from 2018, where he has the canisters around the wrist and the cutoff sweatshirt. It's dope. So yeah, I played with the Prowler suit, I think, for the majority of my second playthrough, but I just I love that. And I hope that my hopes with the whatever the next Spider-Man game is, like the next full Spider-Man game, not the DLC for Miles, is I hope, and I was talking with some of you guys about this, I hope they give it the GTA 5 treatment where you can switch between characters and they each have their own lives.
Yeah.
Like they have some missions where you're doing them together, and maybe you can switch between which character you want to play as during that mission. But I think that they have different quest lines, they have different collectibles, they have different that, and when you switch back and forth between characters, you can you snap into like what's going on in their lives right that second,
right.
and it's cool. And for both of them, it'll be two very different things probably.
I think that is likely what we're going to see next. And I think the very final frame of the game where you see both of them swinging into the camera at the same time, I think that kind of alludes to
That's
it.
such a good shot.
And I think that while we all really like this game right now, and there might be people who are complaining like, oh, it's the same city again, and you're doing a lot of the same types of crimes again, but I think when we finally see Spider-Man 2 coming out, I think in the next like 18 months, we're really going to understand, like, it's going to be the two of them. It's going to be that GTA 5 thing, and being able to recycle some of that stuff in order to tell and fast track that Miles story so quickly after the first one, I think is really going to help to differentiate Spider-Man 2 enough to be like, we didn't have to reinvent the game to tell Miles' story, which now allows us to do something brand new with Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2
Spider-Man.
with two Spider-Men. That's what's
I want
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Like I love that.
I hope
It's
we
a
go to
good
Queens.
comic line. I want that like
I want to go to Queens.
No, we're going to go to
Bring us
New
Queens.
Jersey. We're going to go to the Jersey Shore.
Oh no.
We're gonna go see Hamilton.
The one of the things, and I don't know if we're gonna talk about things we don't like as well, but right now,
Sure, go for it.
The movement, and this is gonna sound weird because it's a great game. Like the traversal is amazing, but broad movements, swinging, running up walls, jumping, like vaulting off of ledges and things like that, all great.
precise
any
moving.
kind of fine movement details.
Yeah.
Oh my
trash.
god, so hard.
Absolute
If
zero
I
out of
had
10.
$1 for
I
every
wanna
time I
go
jumped
there.
over something that I wanted
right,
to be on.
Exactly. I want to go there. No, you just launched me off of a building. No, I want to go on that, like right on that. No, you can't go there. You're going to go on the lamppost. No,
Yeah.
I just want to go right in that spot where the box is for where I can get the gadget piece. Just put me right there.
Yeah.
It just was like the fine details trash. It was like that in Spider-Man 2018 too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think it's like the
Struggle.
movement was always full force ahead or complete stop. And,
Yeah, right.
And so like there's one where it was either one of the time capsules or something else where it was one of the postcards. It was on top of a box. And I was figuring out, how the fuck do I get this little thing on top of the box? I stood on top of it. I was on the wall. And I was like, oh, you have to zip line to this light post right next to it. And it took me like legit like 5 minutes. I'm like, are you
I had the same problem.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, like, Matt and then Chad, who's going through it, like, how do you feel about the Platinum experience? I think it's harder, but better than 2018. Because I went straight into Remaster after I Platinum Miles. And, like, I'm playing through that again. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I didn't realize there was 55 backpacks. You have to, like, do all the towers and then all those Fisk things. And it's like, they streamline. Like, I think it's harder in Miles because there's more of, like, defeat 5 enemies while you're looking at your phone, while you're doing this, and while you're, like, okay. But they streamline a lot of it so much more to where, like, active crimes are just on your app, and you can literally look at all of those.
Yeah.
And like, that
was the biggest improvement for the trophy list. I remember in Spider-Man when I said I had gotten most of the trophies done, I just had to go back and clean up some of the specific ones that you wouldn't have gotten normally. But one of the tough ones was going back and getting every kind of crime in every borough and every area of Manhattan. And like that was a pain in the ass because I'm like, I have to keep swinging around until a car chase happens. Like fuck that. So in Miles it was a lot better for me, a lot easier for me to get that specific trophy, which was a tough one in 2018. So I think it was a better quote unquote better experience. It was quicker, like I did this a lot quicker than Spider-Man 2018, but that was a nice addition. You can tell that they were listening to what they did for the first trophy list to now.
I also think in general, trophy hunting, and this is true for Miles as well, trophy hunting on PS5 is made so much better because of the SSD. So I could, oh man, there's a box all the way across the island. Well, instead of having to swing over there or wait 30 seconds while I go on the subway, I can just
I use that a
cool,
lot.
I'm going to fast travel over there.
I still swung.
Yeah.
It's so
I
fun.
still swung, but also the when you press the PlayStation button and bring up the guide thing, and you can like go to specific side missions. I use
You
that
just hit
a
square.
lot.
Yes.
You just hit square, it brings you right there, right?
That was amazing.
Resume.
Yeah. Dallas, the man who refused to give his poor horse any exercise in Ghost of Tsushima, like refused to ride his horse. Refused. That poor horse.
I had to run everywhere so I could clear the map, man.
Were you Spider-Man in Ghost of Tsushima though? I don't think so.
No, that's true. But I was slide canceling in Ghost of Tsushima, like nonstop. Just run, hit,
Just
slide,
ride the
run,
horse.
slide.
Oh, so like Legend of Zelda when you just freaking
Yeah. Yep.
So Dallas had literally no connection to his horse.
Nope.
I mean,
Might as well
who
be glue.
does though? Let's be real.
Dude, come on. No, there's a
Me and
No,
Cody
there's a
get along
part
real
in-
nice.
there's a part in Ghost of Tsushima where you're like, damn, I had such a connection with that horse.
I haven't been
Now
here.
it's in
Thanks,
the
Brent.
bed of a mobster. I want to actually use the trophy discussion as a platform to jump off and talk about like next gen improvements. We've talked about a couple of things that have gotten better in this game, but what did you all think of? I think we all played it on PS5. I don't think any of us played it on PS4, but what did you think of the haptics, of the loading times, all of that? How did that enhance the experience for you?
I had some crashes. The only game I've played on my PS5 that I've crashed probably
I've
4 or
had-
5 times.
So many crashes.
I
I've had
had
too.
that bug you had where you got stuck in an animation and none of your buttons worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got stuck in like a vaulting animation when I'm like, 3/4 of a way through the battle. And the only way I could get out of it is one of those guys shot the lasso at me and it like shocked me out of the
That's
animation
lucky.
I was in. But then I finished it and as soon as the battle finished, it cleared, I couldn't move. I
Bruh.
couldn't jump through the thing to get out, so I had to replay the whole fucking thing over.
Yeah,
again.
I couldn't do that. I've had 3 hard crashes while playing Miles, to where it crashes my entire system. I have to manually turn it off. I turn it back on. It repairs my hard drive, and then it sits on a black screen. I have to turn that off. I had 3 hard crashes while playing Miles. I've had 5 maybe like 3 or 4 soft crashes on Miles, a couple other on some other games, but it's been rough. Either way, it's really good on PS5. I like it. Load times are like insanely fast. Like you brought up the subway. Like on my New Game Plus playthrough, I only use the subway. Like I swung a good bit, but I was using to go back and forth, missions over here, get this thing over here, and it made everything. Because I had a glitch to where when I beat the game the first time and went on the postcard mission, I was like, I think my girlfriend was like, oh, I want to see the spider cat thing. So I was like, all right. I go out the window after I get the first postcard. Instead of going to that postcard, I start a new mission. So it won't let me go. It says I had that postcard there, but it doesn't say I have one in Harlem. So I had to redo. Like I was already almost done with all the side objectives in that game. So I had to redo it all in my second New Game Plus playthrough. Damn. That kind of sucked.
Good thing you liked it.
I'm enjoying the load times. I'm enjoying, I don't know how it's going to work, on certain buildings where you just kind of, on PS4 where you just go out and there's no loading screen, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, because I think I'm going to platinum it on PS4 as well, since it comes with the PS4 version. But I'm wondering that if you play it on a PS5, if you still get the good load times or not. I would think not, because it's probably not optimized, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I didn't have
one way to find out.
I didn't have any crashes or anything during my time, but I had a bunch of annoying bugs. So many times I would actually hit enemies through walls, especially in the last mission. The last mission, I had it happen multiple times where I would hit a guy and they would go through a wall that I couldn't reach them in. And I just had to wait for them to either find their way out or I had to restart the mission. It was really annoying. I also had
a guy into an ambulance during that mission, and he was he was just running around inside the ambulance, and he was the only guy left. And I had to.
That was the same thing with me too. It was the last guy.
Yep.
That's what makes it the worst.
Throw mailboxes and stuff like that, so I could finally build up my venom and then just do a big area of effect attack.
Mm-hmm. I also had it a couple times where I would be swinging along and Miles' arm would twist weird. So I don't know what happened there, but obviously that's not game breaking.
Inspect anything? Have you guys noticed that when you inspect things and you rotate it?
Yeah,
it looks like his arm turns all the way around the other way.
Like,
dude, it looks so comfortable. Like holding that shit.
I noticed that
immediately
because that's the first thing I tried. The load times are great because then I die and I just it's I don't even have a chance to rebuke. I die. I'm oh, I'm back. Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't even drink my orange juice without getting attacked.
Yeah, your sweet OJ.
Put that on a box quote.
Hey, that guy's drinking orange juice. Let's get him.
I'm surprisingly I didn't have as many glitches or crashes or whatever throughout the game. I don't know if it was just my play style or what, but I start for most of combat and stuff, I do stealth to finish any side objectives I have. And then I just scatter everyone in the center and then do the airdrop with lightning and then die a couple times because I'm overwhelmed and then do it again. I've really I haven't had as many crashes or that the only time my PlayStation has crashed is actually playing Cold War, but that's it.
Yeah, I've had a few on Cold War as well.
Yeah.
I had a couple crashes on Miles. It was nothing major. It was more or less sometimes I had to restart a mission or I would quit the game, reload it up. I never had any hard crashes where the whole system went off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk haptics.
Are great.
Yeah, let's talk haptics.
Fuck you, Brent. I love the haptics. After you pointed that out on the PS4
haptics
review,
are good.
I just noticed that sometimes if you just gently press it, it really feels like you I can feel it. I'm it's so good, Brent. What are you talking about?
No, okay, let me clear my name real quick. For one, haptics are great. I never said I didn't like haptics.
The trigger, sorry, responsive triggers.
Haptics are amazing. The triggers, I will say, I played real quick. I played more Call of Duty, and I was actually feeling it. I'm okay, I like this. Yeah. But there's in that bow mission in Astro, because I finally platinum Astro. That bow felt really good in Astro. I still think there's certain games that need it better, but I am kind of on board. I want to see how it does.
I didn't,
Go ahead with your your haptic talk.
I just didn't really notice anything.
I enjoyed the triggers more than I thought.
I don't.
After hearing.
I don't like the triggers in.
I loved it because it felt like if you just press it lightly, you could like sense when it's gonna, press the fucking.
It just feels
the web
stuck
shooter,
in
and
Miles.
it just felt like if you don't like sometimes if you press it hard, it seems like you get past it and it doesn't give you that like little resistance in it.
Yeah.
But if you just press it just lightly enough, you could feel it like click. It just felt so cool, man. I loved it. And then the venom powers when you rumbling in the haptics.
That's
The venom
really dope.
powers felt great. I just didn't like the triggers when you were swinging. I felt like when you were pressing it all the way down, it was like, why give me that little resistance right at the end? Like, I don't understand what that was for.
I barely even noticed it in Miles Morales, at least for the triggers. Like, definitely felt it for everything else, and like seeing like when you're on the subway or there's a train nearby, you could feel like going across the tracks. I definitely noticed triggers more. Like I played Cold War a lot, and for a second I was like, is my controller broken? Because I tried to like I picked up like LMG. I'm like, oh shit, I need to mean it when I press that trigger.
True.
But for Miles Morales, I don't notice it as much. It's definitely more the very like accurate feedback for like the venom powers and like when you get hit or stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. I think the DualSense is fucking badass.
I love when
I
you
didn't
like
notice it
types
when
on
I
a
first started
keyboard.
playing it, and then Brent mentioned it the other day. I made sure I was paying attention to it, and I could tell like just when it's about to hit, like it's just I don't know, it feels so responsive to what I assume it's gonna do.
Yeah, I never noticed anything with the controller besides that little tension in the triggers, and that even really didn't even matter to me because I know in each swing when I want to let go and do my jump off thing. So like if I'm trying to gain speed, I know as I'm going down I'm gonna let go and then swing again, so that just doesn't matter to me. As much as I love Astro's Playroom and everything that game does with the DualSense, and I love the DualSense, I think it's already one of my favorite controllers just because of how cool it is. I really feel like they just didn't do much with it in Miles Morales.
I kind of felt the same way, John, that I did like the adaptive trigger. I wish there were more of it, so I felt like there was more of a resistance in the web as you're swinging. But through most of the game, I wanted more from the haptics. Like I felt like it was hard, like easy enough to ignore. And they had talked up a big thing, like you could tell what direction you're getting hit from based on the haptics on the controller. And I felt like I never noticed much of that at all.
But I knew from the screen.
Exactly, yeah. But I feel like what I did notice though, and I really enjoyed, is like when you punch someone, or if you are like electrified with venom or something like that, and you can feel the tingle in the controller, or like somebody, Dusty, I think you mentioned the subway, like of the subway.
Yeah.
But I also felt like there were times in the cutscenes where you personally, as Miles Morales, are not being hit or anything like that, but you're watching like someone else being like Rhino is electrified with venom, but you're feeling the static on him for some reason. Or you see like the shield guys for the first time and you see something hit their shields and you feel their shields getting hit. And I was like, why am I feeling someone else's haptics and not my own? So that kind of took me out of it a little bit. I was like, I only want to feel what Miles feels. I don't want to feel what everything else on the screen feels.
You only want your own haptics. You don't fuck with other people's haptics.
Right? I don't need empathy.
We don't share haptics here. This is a no haptic sharing.
No, not with COVID-19. You do not share haptics.
Right. Exactly. No.
Not in this economy.
Not this one.
I love that joke.
I love that.
The last thing I wanted to kind of talk about was actually we've mentioned a little bit of the villains. I want to talk about whether or not you liked the villains they chose specifically, and kind of what you thought of how they were implemented into the game. I'll mention right off the bat that I loved that for most of the villains, they were also, somebody mentioned like you're connected to all of them. So like they are your best friend, they are your uncle. So right off the bat, you connect with them and you empathize with them and you can kind of see where they're coming from and why they're choosing the things that they choose. I also do wish that Simon Krieger ended up being more than he ended up being. Like right off
I wish
the
we could
bat.
punch him.
Right? I wish I could punch him in his stupid face. But I see him in the very beginning of the game, and you hear Troy Baker's voice, and you're like, oh, they got Troy Baker. This is going to be a big character.
Oh shit, that's Troy Baker?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
you mostly
yeah.
interacted with him just in like hearing voice memos from a computer in a hideout.
Yeah.
And nothing comes of it. Like at the very end of the
Five
game,
took
he's
up too
in a
much
cop
of his
car,
time.
But so I wish there was more from him, but I also I love the fact that Tinkerer and God, not Predator. What is his name? Prowler. Tinkerer and Prowler. I love that not only do you have that connection to them, so you have this like internal struggle as to whether or not you want to fight them or whether they are a villain, but I also really enjoyed the fact that they kind of took, if you watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and you saw, I know Uncle Aaron ends up being the Prowler, he's the bad guy, but then it's like, he's not a bad guy. I thought I knew he was going to be a bad guy from the movie that I watched, but it turns out in this it was still a different twist on it that I didn't see coming. So I like to
And then
make
he still betrays you, and you're like, I knew it.
It's like betrayal light though. Like he didn't mean to
for
betray you.
Well, he specifically says, "Don't leave the kid alone."
Yeah.
But which like I really love, and really at the end of the day, it's almost like the villain, say for like Rhino, it's like, again, with Spider-Man, it's a concise little story. It's almost like a family, like, drama story. Because your Uncle Aaron's your uncle, and Finn's, like, you've been friends for so long, like, your family considers them family. So, like, you're stuck between this war trying to maintain a balance of, like, okay, Uncle Aaron knows who I am. I can't let Finn know who I am because I don't want to put them in danger, but then they're the one putting me in danger. And you have to figure out, like, do I want to hurt my family over saving the city? And there's that internal drama you see, and like, again, like compare like to in the Spider-Man story and superhero story, like this is all contained in the small in Spanish Harlem, and having all that, you know, it's the right villains for this story, and even then, like putting villains on it. For I think everyone except for Krieger, like what they're doing is justified in one way or another because they had to deal with X, Y, or Z. And having that kind of drama in a Spider-Man story, especially where Spider-Man is supposed to like emphasize like just, you know, anyone could be Spider-Man. Like, and his troubles could be anyone's. I think it was good for that.
Agree. I enjoyed the battles you had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought all the boss battles were fun. Even Rhinos were fun.
Yeah. Prowlers is cool.
I'm curious how many of us knew Finn was the Tinkerer before the reveal.
Oh, I knew right away. The moment they showed her, I'm like, oh, that's Finn. Like, and I am so glad because when that bridge scene comes up, I was like as she's walking up and she's talking to her crew and everything, I'm like, okay, that's Finn. You can tell. You can like even see kind of her hair out of her hood and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, and I really thought that they were just going to try and like play that off as a mystery for the whole game. I'm so glad that they showed it right away.
Yeah, right away.
I pretty much found out like that first time capsule, that mission right before the bridge, and that when you get the first time capsule, I was like, huh, what if she's a tinker? That'd be crazy, right? And then like I like how immediately as soon as I started thinking about it, like you find out that she's a tinker. I will say I watched a review like recently, and like dude was talking about how like it kind of felt like a DLC, and he was like, "There's no time to think about who is a tinkerer." Now on that second playthrough, I was thinking, on the second playthrough, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, that kind of does make sense because for me, I watched the first trailer the day it dropped. I've had months to think about like, hey, the tinker is in this game. Who's the tinker? You're just picking up this game and you don't watch trailers. And the first time you see the Tinkerer is in that bridge scene, and immediately you're like, oh, hey, it's Finn. It's like, oh, okay, you never really did get to think about it. For me personally, I thought it was cool because like I said, I figured it out right before, so it was nice that they didn't try to like play it off. Mm-hmm. But I do kind of agree that maybe if you're not fine-tuned into that thing, into that universe, you might not really get time to think about, oh, hey, we have a new villain. Oh, we immediately know who it is.
Right.
I'm going to argue that that's not important.
If they were trying to trick us.
Yeah, that's not the reveal. The reveal is not, oh my God, Finn's the Tinkerer. The reveal, the twist that you're interested in finding out is like, why is Finn the Tinkerer? Why is she doing what she's doing? And the motivation
I knew that
behind
right
it all.
away. As soon as they as soon as they mentioned that Rick was gone, I was like, well, obviously he died working for Roxxon. She's gonna try and get her revenge. Like, so I knew her backstory and her reasonings behind everything she wanted to do. I thought the interesting part was getting to the point of Miles being like, okay, I gotta tell her.
Yeah.
Maybe I can stop her by telling her. That was what drove me to enjoy their story, her being a villain, her arc. You know, and at the end, obviously her sacrifice was, you know, a great way to put a bow on the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's why I don't mind it. Like, I do like how they play off like everything. Like you said, the story is like he's Spider-Man, she's a Tinkerer. Like, they both intertwine with each other's like worlds, and they don't really know it. So it's like I love all the little talks of like what was that? I think it's when they're escaping Roxxon, and she's like, I need to do this and I need you to be on board, and he's like, well, it's like I'm gonna have to stop you and I need you to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like they're still friends, but they both know at some point they're gonna cross. Like, they both want justice for Rick, but they have to cross at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I found that dynamic really unique. Like, I found that this is not your typical like, oh, like usually it's like, oh shit, we found out who, like everybody found out who the alter ego is for this superhero or whatever. It's like in this story, you find out that the supervillain that you're fighting is is your best friend, and now you're wrestling with the fact that you have to tell her that you are who you are. I felt like that was the bigger reveal. That was like the bigger reveal.
Yeah,
and
Miles revealing himself was the bigger reveal than finding out that Finn was a Tinkerer.
Right, and then it comes down to it where like she threatens to, when it comes like when they really get into it, and she threatens to kill him, and then when Miles gets captured by his uncle, he gets put in that little dome, and I think that was the turning point for, and this is why I think this little group of villains like really works, is like that was the turning point for him. Like, he is not, like he was saying before, like he talks about Spider-Man, but he's talking about the other Spider-Man. He doesn't believe in himself. And now he's really like, he's like sick of it. He's starting to believe in himself. He thinks that he can do it. And he says to his uncle that you underestimate me. And he bursts out of that thing. And I think that was him speaking to his uncle, but I also think that was him speaking directly at Finn. And I found that super powerful. And like that was a big like overarching theme that really like got me. I was like, that was him definitely, like that was him talking to Finn, like
realizing
what he really wanted to say.
Potential.
I love that fight with the Prowler, because like it didn't feel like you have to, oh, Prowler's a villain, you have to fight the Prowler. Like, it felt more of like he wasn't like, Aaron wasn't keeping him there because like, oh, Miles is Spider-Man. Like, he genuinely, like, I see both sides. Like, I can definitely see Aaron Davis seeing all the shit he's seen in life, going up against Roxxon, knowing who Krieger is, and being like, dude, I don't want to lose you either.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I love how that fight wasn't hero against villain. It was like, dude, I love you. I'm trying to protect you. And Miles being like, I need to protect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing the Finn storyline to the first game, it's kind of the same thing, where Peter and Dr. Octavius are so close and everything. Peter considers him family and everything. Oh, he's out for revenge. Okay, now I have to stop this person that I really look up to, I really admire and everything. And there's that really emotional part to it. I feel like they did handle it better, though, in this game, as you were saying, with revealing that it's him. And she legitimately didn't know it was him. I thought before he actually reveals it, I thought for the longest time that she knew that Miles was Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. I was like, she's this genius and everything.
When you're invisible right in front of her, and like she's talking directly to you, I was like, she knows. Yeah, I was like, she has to know he's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
John, going off of what you just said, I thought that was one of the strongest parts in the first one, like the little part that they for like the
where they reveal that he does know.
Yeah, when you're fighting him on the top of that roof, and like Peter's like on the verge of like being defeated, and you find out that Doc Ock knew that Peter was Spider-Man, and he still did all those things to try and like kill him. Yeah, and, like, that was heartbreaking for Peter. Yeah. That was heartbreaking. I thought that was great.
I do want to talk about like Finn's sacrifice though at the end, where she blasts him up and everything.
Yeah,
I really feel like that was supposed to be the moment, like the Aunt May moment in the first game, which wrecked me. Oh my god, I still think about that scene and I start tearing up. That was such a great moment. I didn't feel that way in this game.
I cried so hard at the Finn scene.
I
She
didn't.
got-
I didn't
just
either.
thinking about like her saying like just let go, and he blew her up. Like I can't get past that. He blew her up.
That was her Iron Man moment.
Maybe I would have felt
Yeah.
that way if I didn't just have I'm not a fan of the final boss fight. I think it's too long. I think it's drawn out. I think it's just not great. The conversation they have is just Miles repeatedly saying, "Hey, listen to me. Why don't you trust me? Look outside. Hey, trust me. No, I can't trust you. I know what I'm doing." And it's just that for what feels like 20 minutes. It's so long and everything. And then you knock her to the edge. She sees it and she's like, "Oh,
Right.
I
flop
messed
is-
up, guys."
Right. Yeah. The instant flop like that kind of threw me off too. I agree
I
with
do
that.
want to say that the whole thing feels contrived only because like he could have easily said, "Hey Finn, Krieger's gonna blow up. Like it's gonna blow up Harlem," but instead he's like, "Finn, I gotta tell you," and then she's like, "No, I
No,
don't want to
wait,
hear from
wait,
you," and
stop.
then he
Yeah.
just kind of say he just kind of stays silent while she like walks away. I'm like, bro, you could
Just say it.
concisely say like just say the full sentence. Quit
Right.
saying, "Finn, I gotta tell you something." Like tell her there's something.
Like you're gonna blow the whole fucking city up, dude. Chill.
Yeah, and
No,
I think
I ran through the numbers, and they just keep saying it over and
Yeah.
over.
I think it's
Well, they did add a little bit of that distrust element, which helped kind of
Yeah.
make it a bit believable. But yeah, I agree. It was like the instant turn at that moment was like, it's a little unbelievable.
I think
but-
it really played well though. Like they really did it where Finn's just in this denial phase, and like having it play out in the game is annoying. Like that combat, you're right. It like that end of the game, I felt like it just went on way too long, but it really put Finn's characters like Finn's in denial. They know
Yeah.
like Spider-Man, Miles has been stopping them every step of the way, and there's no way that he could be possibly telling them the truth. There's no way that she's been trying to like avenge Rick for this long. There's no way it could be wrong. All that denial, now. And then I think seeing that is like an oh shit moment, which comes off, it doesn't come off great because it's also shit is literally tearing them around them, and of course like you should be able to see this, but no, you're sending off all your clones or whatever that combat was. I don't even remember because like I died 10 times.
I do want to jump off you three and say that I connected with it more a little bit. I like the fight. I think it goes on one section too long, but I do like the fight. But I think it works for me because Finn isn't a bad person.
Yeah.
Like the Tinkerer is the villain, sure, but Finn isn't bad. Like she is like I guess she's been committing some crimes. Like I don't know if she's killed people, but that's besides the point. But it's like she's not a bad
Murder.
person. Like
Besides the
Yeah,
point.
it is. I mean, in Spider-Man
I don't know.
universe.
I don't know if she's
Well,
actually
they
killed
do
people.
address
but
it
even
like
then,
she's doing it in Roxxon Plaza at this time because she knows it's going to be like vacant. So like
Yeah.
she
said
she has
nobody.
that
She
consideration.
literally said nobody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like to my point, like she's not a bad person. Like, she wants justice for Rick. She wants to like get to Krieger, but like she's not bad. So to see that, like you call it like a tonal flip as soon as she sees the reactor, I see it as like her being lost in her delusions for so long and then seeing the reactor and be like, oh shit, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why am I doing this? Like, this is going to destroy Harlem. I let my emotions, my plans and everything, my fears get ahead of me, and now I'm going to blow up Harlem. I need to help stop this. Miles is saving everybody. I need to help Miles. He's gonna kill himself for the city. That's kind of how I saw the sacrifice, and it choked me up.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Can we also talk about how Miles could have avoided all this if he didn't just go for that first big reactor after he gets the phone? Like, remember when he gets the phone and he's like, oh, please don't blow up the phone. Please don't blow up phone. Okay, we're good. Now I'm going to go to this reactor and suck all this energy up, and the phone will be fine, guys. Trust me.
He just
I
would
mean-
have had that evidence.
this is true, but it's also like, again, he's like 17.
Yeah, no. I just thought that was really funny
No
looking
one
back
is
on
fucking
it.
smart at 17.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 28 and
that's
I'm
for
still
sure.
not
Yeah, I've been
smart.
doing anything he did at that age.
Yeah.
I we've covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, aside from maybe talking about what we want from Spider-Man, the sequel. So if you guys have anything else that you wanna bring up before we talk about that and wrap up this discussion, go for it.
I mean, what was y'all's favorite suit? Just hands down.
Oh,
There's a lot
I
of
think
good ones.
I already said mine. I like the Prowler suit. I just like the color combination and like the like industrial part of it, like the claws and all that. Yeah.
I love seeing the reflections in the Prowler suit, like the green spider on the back, and then seeing the reflections of the people in the background.
Yeah.
Also, the reflections. Shout out to this game. Like there were multiple times when the reflections in the windows of the buildings helped me plan my combat. Like
Really?
I was attacking somebody, I was keeping my combo
That's
up,
wild.
and then I could see in the door in front of me there was a guy approaching me from the back,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh fuck, now I need to go backwards to attack him so I don't get hit. It was
That's
really
fucking
cool.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Next gen, baby.
I wish I had something like that happen.
It was hard for me to like find a suit I really loved. Like whereas in 2018, it was like there's so many suits I love because like I'm a huge Peter fan. Where with Miles, it's like there's only like 2 suits that are going to be iconic to most people. So like for most of the story, I use the classic suit. For cleaning up in my first playthrough, I used the 2099 suit. I like that one a lot.
That one's pretty clean.
And then going into the New Game Plus, I used Spider-Verse, 2099, a little bit of classic, and then towards the end, I finally used the tracksuit. And I wish I used that more because that's
I
a
love
really
the
nice
tracksuit.
looking suit.
The tracksuit's really good. So during the story, I used only the classic suit. I did the same thing in 2018 because I just love the way
With that advanced suit.
Yeah, I love the way
So good.
those suits look. So I did that through the story, and then afterwards, when I did the extra stuff, I did Spider Cat for a while, which was really cool. And it's really funny when you like go into your room to start the postcard thing, and you just leave the cat on the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just the cat's gone. Also, there's a side mission where you go find another cat, and I had that suit on as well. And the guy gives you a backpack to get his cat, and then Spider Cat just disappears when you put it on. I'm like, okay.
I
So
did
I
that
really
one
like
during
that
the
one.
main
I really
game.
love the black and gold one from doing all of the
Yes.
app missions in front of
the
the Black
Harlem
Lives
one?
Matter mural. That was
Yeah.
really awesome. The 2099 suit, though, I think was probably my favorite with the glowing
So
eyes
good.
and everything.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and the winter suit, because that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if I have a favorite, but I definitely have one that I don't like, and that was the. I don't even know what the name of it is. I never even use it. It's like the one with the like crazy looking helmet, or mask.
The
Like,
2020
red,
suit.
or red, crimson.
no, not the crimson one because the crimson one was. Oh
Yeah, the
shit.
2021.
Yeah,
Right.
the 2020
2020
suit.
with the digital eyes.
Okay.
No,
Looks like you're from Daft Punk.
no,
Yeah,
that one's
right.
dope. That one's sick.
Oh.
No, it's one that you get early in the game. I think it might even be unlocked like right at the beginning, and it's got like this. Like,
Like the goggles. Like the homemade
Nope.
suit.
no.
No?
I don't know.
No?
I'll have to send you guys a picture of it.
Okay.
I never put it on. I was like, I'm not unlocking that thing. It looks ugly as shit.
The strike suit.
It's all the way on the right hand side. I think that's what it is. A strike suit. It's on the right hand side, second column down.
Oh,
Second row
maybe.
down?
I think I
think
maybe
so.
the strike one.
It's got like this weird, like this mask got like this. I don't know. It's got like it looks like veiny, like really
Oh,
textured.
yeah, I know what
vein
you're talking about. Yeah,
things.
it's a strike where like it's like popped out, like the emblem
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
yes.
Yeah, that
I
one
had nothing to do
sucks.
with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Prowler suit, I think, was like when I. So I got chills when I put the Prowler suit on and the golden suit that you get from doing the obviously that whole reveal was fucking sick.
Oh, the Harlem one's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Prowler suit I think might be my favorite.
See, I love that moment. Like, I love that when you get a suit, it's like a big thing. Especially
Yeah.
like when you complete all the side quests. 2018 had nothing like that. It
Yeah,
was
what,
like,
you just
okay,
unlocked them.
Yeah,
Is that
it
what it
was
was?
just the
Backpacks.
main suit.
Yeah,
that
you
they
just-
did
you
that.
did your task, you got the suit. And it's like with Miles, it's like there's a lot of that, sure. But like when you do all the friendly neighborhood apps, like there's this big thing where they all pitch together, they get you a suit. It's in front of that mural. It's
Yeah.
awesome. You get a little
when
photo op, and like you have like Haley, she gives you
yeah,
like
Haley
the
gives you her
the
shit.
scarf
That
and
was so
stuff.
dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
big
awesome.
moments
Haley's
like
a
that. And
character
it's
I
just
want
so
to come
good.
back in the future. She was
If
awesome.
they're not dating in the next game, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that shit.
That's
I
exactly where
guess
I'm
you
at.
won't hear it.
Yeah, it's true.
I,
Yeah, she was awesome. I love that.
it was such like a small little thing, that I've seen, like, it means like so much, just having like, and it really fits in. Like, again, he is Harlem Spider-Man. He knows his community. He knows these people. Like, he knows, like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take this at my school so I can communicate with these people. And he really put in the effort. Like, even like he made a joke with Genki like early on, like, are you gonna learn Spanish? And it's like, well, maybe. It's like, I'll take it in class. It was like, oh, okay, well, that's when I took ASL. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I think this game's way more meaningful than 2018. Like, I think 2018 had a good story, but like looking back, playing Miles twice now, I'm just like, I really think there's so many more elements that make Miles a more meaningful and like impactful character than Peter in this universe. I think Peter is great, been my boy since I was 2 years old. But like, there's so many moments of Miles, like the Harlem scenes, like the he's our Spider-Man. Like, yeah, that feels like the Spider-Man 2 scene where he's on the train. But at the same time, it's like there's so many fun moments and like meaningful moments of Harlem, just Miles interacting with Harlem and everybody, and it's like I love it so much. There's so much more of that than 2018, and I feel like it's just a little bit more impactful for me than 2018.
I think when you take Miles Morales' story as a whole, I think it's a bit better than 2018, especially when you consider at the end where those like key people in Harlem, the bodega guy and all those other people, they know that it's Miles now who is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool and everything. I think as a whole, the story's better. I think 2018 had better singular moments. Like I said earlier, Aunt May dying, Doc Ock revealing that he knew Peter was Spider-Man, the train scene. Like, I think those were stronger on their own. But as a whole, I think Miles Morales is the better put together story.
And you can't really forget that set Miles Morales up too. Like,
for sure,
exactly.
So that was a cool moment too. So
like at the end when like
at the end them jumping on the ceiling.
Like when you see him previously
sick,
on,
dude.
I just like I lost my shit. I'm like, what?
Yes.
2018 felt like a comic book. I think Miles Morales really feels like a character story, like a people thing. Like, it really, like, besides the reactor and the spider like heroes and stuff going around, like, it feels like a world story, like a real world story.
2018 seems like a blockbuster movie to me, and Miles Morales seems like a comic book to me.
Yeah, I would say that.
I will say for me as well, as like being someone who's Mexican, like a Latino, and then like seeing all that, like hearing Spider-Man talk to his mom and like speaking Spanish in a freaking AAA blockbuster game. I was tearing up. I was like, this is
especially
fucking
with how much
badass.
they do it.
Yeah, and like
I really love those parts.
Yeah, and just like, talking on the phone was like, man, like this is just like conversations I have day to day. And like I'm not kidding, like I've heard that Salsa Feliz Navidad song at my abuelita's house growing up.
That's
So
awesome.
like it meant a lot.
Yeah, that's what got me emotional. Like I said, I don't have that cultural connection, but I felt it. Like it was so cool to see, man. And I'm so glad that you got to experience it like that. It's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any other improvements you all want for Spider-Man?
I want
I wanted to be named that.
I do want it to be
Spider-Man,
named
yeah.
Spider-Man.
I
don't know if I want it to be co-op. Like, I don't think I'm sold on that idea. Like, I want a single-player game, but like, it would be cool to switch between Miles and Spider-Man. I don't think co-op would really fit it that much.
I'd rather play the GTA way than a co-op, I think.
Well, I want the GTA way with an option for co-op. Like, that's just all I want. Like,
I'm with you, John.
Like, I don't make it only co-op. Like, no, you guys are absolutely right. This is a single player game first. Like, you have to go in with that mindset. But just having the opportunity to swing around New York wherever you want with the other Spider-Man going wherever they want. Maybe you jump into the same missions together. Maybe you just find an underground, or not underground, but a hideout, and you go through that together. Like, that's really cool.
I think if they did it like Assassin's Creed Unity, for the two people that played that game, or like two people and the one person that played that online,
make
that
it
was
out to
me.
be. Okay.
Dude, Unity was amazing. I love Unity.
All right.
But they do the online in a way where, like, I think you can do free roam with people, but it's mostly like either co-op missions or the heists. And the heists were so fun to like do with multiple people. So if they did something like that, it'd be okay. But I don't want to free roam. Seeing me being Peter swinging around in Miles across the city doing his own thing, like I don't know, like I don't want the levels to be like focused with co-op in mind because I feel like that would just like drag it down a little bit in my head. Like I think they could pull it off, but I'm just really worried. Like I want a single player story with maybe some Fisk towers I gotta take out with a buddy or something.
Well, my thing is like if you go into a smaller mission area, and then you're just going in as one Spider-Man, and then the other one is just going to be taken over by an AI anyway. So we've already seen that quite a bit in this game, even where it's kind of like the opposite of the Mary Jane mission from the first one, where you're Mary Jane and you call Spider-Man to get the swing the people up, where you're Miles on the ceiling and Finn's like walking through. Like you already see stuff kind of like that. If I can just go in with both Spider-Mans with me and a friend, like that's awesome to me.
That would be cool, I think. Yeah.
We even had it in the very opening mission. Like there were a couple of points where like Peter and Miles were there together. And I think what I would almost want more is a single player experience, kind of like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where like you could switch between them on the fly in the middle of a battle. You're fighting side by side.
Chad's never played GTA 5, so he doesn't know.
I've never played GTA 5. But I also want, like, we've seen they both have crazy gadgets. They both have a lot of skills that they've powered up. Like, where do we go from here? Why not? How do we work out different cool team things that we can learn how to do and, like, pair up finishers? And, like, that's where we expand our combat from here is, like, combination moves together. I think that'd be a pretty cool new addition.
I just want to play as Miles. As long as I can play as Miles, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You guys can play
And I want all the Miles sound effects and like while you're swinging
music,
and when you're powering up a skill.
Can we
and
talk
music.
about
I
the
want
music
that.
for a second?
Oh my gosh, the music is so
got me.
good.
I've been saying it for a long time because I am a big hip hop guy. Like 21 Savage album came out and like Mini Men was one of the coolest songs on there because it was like this orchestral trap kind of thing. That's all what Miles is, and I love it so much. Orchestral trap just works so hard. And I don't know, like the soundtrack says it's composed by like John Paciano, I think, and he's the same guy that did it in 2018. I like the mental imagery of like him in the studio, just like cooking up some beats and stuff. Like if he did that himself as well, that's like such a power move. Because like it's like I make trap. It's hard. So like to go into the studio and like just cook up some trap on top of like these orchestral kind of like thing. It's so good. I love the soundtrack. So fucking so good.
It's really, really good. And like it fits very well with that. And like the whole like missions trying to find like the different tracks and like the stuff that your dad and uncle was working on. Like that's so good. So fucking good.
I wanted to make some tracks back in his room. I'm like,
I kept going over there thinking I was going to.
I'm like, just play something, Miles. Play something.
Please.
Yeah, I'm not in the hip hop at all, really. But I think that you can't use the same orchestra stuff used in the first Spider-Man here because this is a game all about Miles proving that he's his own Spider-Man and everything. So the music and everything really fit into his character. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I went back to the remaster and I'm like, oh yeah, there's no trap here. Like I love the music in that. Like I listened to that theme. I used to listen to that theme just on its own on my phone, but like oh yeah, I gotta get every time I scroll past it on like the PS5 screen, I listen to that for a second, then I immediately have to go listen to Miles for a second just so I can get amped up again.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. I think we're gonna wrap up our discussion here. Sorry, Brent, did you have one last thing you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick, for the New Game Plus, I did a performance mode for like the last half, and then I went to remaster again, and it was on fidelity, and I still kept it that way. I just got used to it again. But dude, it felt like my game was crashing and like lagging so hard on 30 FPS. I was like, is this game broken? Oh no, it's just on 30.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna put it on performance and play through the New Game Plus so I get that combat shit out of the way. See how it works.
Dope. I'm still gonna do fidelity because
I don't take as many pictures. Hopefully, next time around.
But as soon as you go into photo mode, it switches back to
That's
fidelity.
True.
It does.
I forgot about that.
It's so cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We're gonna wrap up our discussion here. If you're listening and you want to let us know how you thought of Spider-Man Miles Morales, let us know in the comments. In the meantime, go into the description of whatever you're listening to this on and check out all of these people's great things, whether it is Shouting in Place with Dusty, whether it is all of Dallas's dope photography in games, whether it is Average Nobodies and Vaulted Podcast for Matt, Pixel Street Podcast for John and his friends, and then Uncultured Opinions Free to Play with Brent and his bros. Go check all that out. And then come over to my house and bring me a pumpkin pie. It's Thanksgiving week.
Oh,
Pumpkin
baby.
I want one so bad. Thanksgiving, me and Matt.
let's go. This is our week, Brent.
Oh, happy American November Christmas, everyone. See you all next week.
I can't wait. I'm so hungry.